What is good, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of L Boogie and the Bell. We are coming off of a crazy divisional weekend, and I'm here with L Boogie, of course. How we doing, L Boogie?
Man, we doing great. Not feeling too hot about my picks. I went 2-2 last week on my picks, so not a great week for me. I was wrong. But yeah, no, it was a good week of football. Looking forward to these conference championships. We got two heavyweight matchups going on this week, so I'm excited to get into it.
And I would love to note that I had a perfect clean sweep. I actually forgot to put my bets in. I was gonna probably do about $10. Would have won me about $36. But I had a full clean sweep. I knew Kansas City was probably most likely the only underdog to take somebody out. But yeah. But all right, man, let's get right into the show. We're gonna start with segment one. Of course, it's gonna be L Boogie and the Bell Sports Trivia. L Boogie, give it to me.
All right, hey Bill, my question to you. Can you name the five NFL franchises that have the most conference championship appearances?
Patriots.
Patriots are number four on the list at 15.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is number two or tied for two at 16.
Packers.
Nope.
Conference championship wins or appearances, you said?
Appearances, just appearances.
San Francisco?
San Francisco is number one on the list
They always go.
at
They always
18.
do.
This year will actually put them at 19, so they're even
Damn.
another notch above. So all right, you're
Um,
missing number three and number four and number five. Um, one NFC
it
team,
can't be
one
the
AFC team.
Ravens.
Not the Ravens. No, the AFC team will surprise you. It really will surprise you.
I know it's not the Eagles.
No, you're kind of close with that one.
Oh, New York Giants. Giants.
No, no, no.
Really? It ain't the Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys. They have 16
I can't stand
conference
them.
championship appearances. They haven't been in a while,
Yeah, I'm
but
like the 90s must have did it.
before their break, they got up to 16. So you're only
Yeah,
missing one more. It's
AFC.
AFC team. It is not necessarily obvious.
West or North? I already did half of North.
AFC West.
The Denver Broncos.
No, unfortunately,
And then it's
no.
the Raiders.
It is the Oakland Raiders. Well, I guess
Yeah,
they're the Vegas Raiders, but they have 14 conference championship appearances.
that's pretty lit, man. I haven't experienced none. Have we? Well, 2003 we were babies.
I was about to say, yeah, they won one when we were alive, but you know,
Sure. Alrighty. L Boogie. In honor of 3 out of the 4 teams that are currently in the playoffs left, who were the Super Bowl MVPs of 3 of the 4 teams? I'm just going to tell you now the fourth team has never been to a Super Bowl, which is the Lions. But 3
hmm
teams, who was the last MVP for each team? We have the Chiefs, we have the Ravens, and we have the
the
49ers.
49.
And you're
So
going to
the
love
last,
the 49ers and Ravens pick.
so the last Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP. All
Okay,
3 of
so
those teams
Kansas,
have Super Bowls and have MVPs.
so Kansas City's the easy one. That's Patrick Mahomes. He's the most recent
Scotty
one.
P.
The Baltimore Ravens when they won, was it Joe Flacco?
Oh man. See, it's like that was Ray Lewis's exit year. So everybody I would expect you to like jump straight to Ray Lewis. But Joe Flacco, believe it or not, is the Super Bowl MVP. And one that I don't believe you're gonna get, your San Francisco 49ers.
I wouldn't say mine, but but okay, the
You're
last
you're 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 very close to you. How about that?
uh
Mr. Santa Clara.
it's been a while since they've won one. I don't know.
Oh,
It's not Joe Montana. Is it?
Joe
Joe
Montana. The
Montana.
cool part
There we
is that it
go.
was 2 Joes. So Joe Montana and Joe
Oh,
Flacco. Joe Montana, I
Joe.
think it was 1993. It does not say. It just says what Super Bowl number, and it's in Roman numerals, and I don't know how to read it. But it was a long time ago,
Yeah, it's been a while.
nonetheless. Alrighty.
Okay, game.
That was our trivia. Let's do our. Oh, okay. going into a conference championship weekend, we are going to give our parlays. Obviously, it's a little short, but go ahead, Boogie. Give me your parlay of the weekend.
All right. So for my parlay, picking the money lines, I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers at minus 360, a little disrespectful, but I am taking the 49ers to win it at home. And I am taking the Kansas City Chiefs at plus 172 to upset the Baltimore Ravens at home. That'll put the total bet at plus 247. $10 wins you 25. Nothing crazy. Win some money.
You just do not want to see Lamar win, do you?
It's not that I don't want to see Lamar win. I just doubted the Chiefs last week. So do I do it again?
Oh my
Do I do it
goodness!
again? Really?
You doubted though. You doubted Baltimore last week.
I did. So I can't really win. I can't really win. I really can't.
I got the Baltimore Ravens making it to the playoffs with a future GOAT, Lamar Jackson. And I have the Detroit Lions beating San Francisco in San Fran and bringing home a lot of wealth to Detroit for one more week. But with that said, we got some conspiracies to go into later in the show, but we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, oh, excuse me. $10 is gonna win you about $48. You're plus 480. So I mean, Detroit's a super underdog. So I think that they could do it. I think they have enough hype, energy behind them. I think they took a pretty bad loss to San Fran earlier in the year, correct?
Did they play? I don't think they've played against each other this year.
They took a crazy loss to somebody, and
The
they took a
Ravens.
sad loss to
It was.
the.
I was about to say the Ravens beat the Lions and the Niners real bad. Both of
They
them.
beat the bricks off the Niners. I saw that game, but I don't
Yeah.
remember them smacking the Lions. I know they smacked. You know what? God damn it, Lavelle! You don't think the Ravens are gonna go to the Super Bowl?
Listen, dude, it's tough. Either you
The
pick the
best
Ravens
team in
or you pick
football.
Patrick Mahomes. Who do you pick? Who do
We're
you
gonna talk
pick?
about it later in the
I
show.
wouldn't
Let's
even
go.
put money on this game. I really wouldn't, but I gave you my parlay, so
There you go. We're moving into segment number 2, topic 1. Honestly, maybe because I'm so right, but is this year's playoffs a little bit underwhelming? And what I mean by that is we've had some pretty big win margins. We've had some pretty likely teams win, and we've had history repeat itself with like the Chiefs beating the Bills. Has anything surprised or shocked you this playoffs?
um, two things. Two things shocked me. One, the Houston Texans winning against the Cleveland Browns in the fashion that
Eh.
they won, in the fashion,
Okay.
because we can't act like the Cleveland Browns defense wasn't a great defense all season. We can't act like that defense was a bunch of scrubs. That was a good team. Joe Flacco was playing great the last couple of weeks of the season. So the fact that the Houston Texans not only beat that team, beat them bad, like real bad, that surprised me. That really did, genuinely. So that was a surprise. Um, and I don't know why I was surprised by this, but the Packers being as good as they were on offense, especially against the Cowboys, another good defense that kind of crapped the bed in the wild card round. Those two things have been the only things that have really surprised me. Um, but other than that, I think things have been kind of predictable. I
Very.
wouldn't say this playoffs have been underwhelming. I think it's been enjoyable. I think there's been a couple stinker games, but mostly it's been enjoyable football.
So I want to say the Texans. I had faith in him once he beat the Broncos, and I was like, okay, this kid's going to the playoffs. Fourth string quarterback. The Browns win didn't really do it for me, especially the fact that they played their defense played the Browns like a fiddle. I will say that once again, and I'll probably say it again before the season's over. Just crazy. The Cowboys, nothing shocks me about the Cowboys losing, but yes, I was also shocked in the fashion that they lost. But at no point did I have faith that this team was going to go to the conference championship. I did have them losing in the divisional round. Was I shocked the fact that the Cowboys lost in embarrassing fashion? No. History repeated itself. Was I shocked that the Bills had a home game, but Patty Mahomes came in and beat them down once again? No. History repeats itself. And was I shocked that the Bucks beat the Lions? I mean, the Bucks lost to the Lions. No, I knew that the Lions are a better team than them, and I knew Baker Mayfield. I predicted this as well. I'm on a hot streak, guys. I predicted that Baker Mayfield was going to throw for 3 touchdowns. I thought that they were only going to get 21 points. They ended up with 24, but I knew he wasn't going to outfire Jared Goff. So it's like every game I'm seeing like the same motion of nothing too exciting here. Like I predicted that the Texans were going to come out hot. They came out hot with those first 10 points. I thought Lamar was going to settle in the second half. Me and El Boogie actually watched that game live. Check us on live stream. And they just took over and kind of finished the game like how I predicted. So I'm a little underwhelmed because I haven't had that wow moment. I can't believe this is happening. And I'm not gonna give the Cowboys the credit. I can't. I cannot give them the credit to say like I was wowed by the fact that they got blown out by the Packers, because historically history has repeated itself. So hey, topic number 2. Do you want to give some context to that one?
Topic 2. So we are talking about Super Bowl matchups. Obviously, the winners of this weekend go to the Super Bowl. We have 4 teams left, so that means there are 4 different Super Bowl matchups that we can still have at this point. So my question to you is, which is the best? Which is the best matchup? Um, I'll note that 3 of the potential matchups are rematches of games from earlier in the season. So the Lions and the Chiefs, they played week 1, and the Lions got that surprise win over the Chiefs. The Ravens and the Lions also played this season. Ravens beat them pretty bad. And the Ravens and the Niners also played. Ravens beat them pretty bad. And then last one is the Niners and Chiefs, which they didn't play this season, but that's a rematch of the 2020 Super Bowl, so the last Super Bowl before the pandemic. So out of those 4 potential outcomes, which one's the most entertaining Super Bowl matchup?
The most appealing for me is the people who deserve it the most. The people who put up the most hype on the season, the people who are moving the needle the most for the NFL. I'm sure they're generating the most revenue just because, the Lions, they can't even believe this. I'm sure people are considering moving to Detroit because of this damn season. Um, and the Ravens, I just really want Lamar to do it. So I'm gonna go with my parlay. I'm gonna stick with the Ravens versus Lions. I think both those teams deserve it. I do think the Lions have took some rough losses, and I do think the Lions have shown holes against the top tier. But I do believe that that is the most intriguing matchup, is bringing a Super Bowl appearance to Detroit, bringing another Super Bowl appearance to Baltimore. I would love to see those two cities like enjoy what it is to go to Las Vegas, and I mean it's gonna be lit. I mean you got B More and Detroit in the house, like that's a full Vegas weekend with a lot of those are 2 black cities, to be honest. I would love to see both of those cities travel over to Vegas for, the fun and festivities. Now, as far as Kansas City and the 49ers, that matchup doesn't intrigue me at all. But if we're going strictly based off of the best teams available, the 49ers and the Ravens make for a good matchup, but we've seen it already. They do make adjustments and everything like that, but show me a Ravens defense that doesn't show up in the Super Bowl historically. The Ravens come to play, they come to hit, they ain't playing around. Whoever's at free safety is going to act like Ed Reed, whoever's at middle linebacker is going to possess his inner Ray Lewis. So I just think that that's not as appealing as a Detroit versus Ravens game.
Okay.
What about you?
So when I think of what's the best Super Bowl matchup, I think of what's going to be the most exciting game to watch. And I think what's going to be the most exciting game, and I'll put a caveat on this, is if both teams are fully healthy. But I think the most exciting matchup would be the Ravens versus the Niners, because we've seen both of these offenses have crazy games. Lamar's, I mean, obviously dual threat, and his weapons have been good. Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews is coming back this week. Zay
Nice.
Flowers, they're all dynamic, they're all great. So that offense is obviously firing. And when we've seen the San Francisco 49ers like together and performing, they've looked like the best offense on the football field. They've looked crazy. You got Debo, who can run through everybody, Christian McCaffrey, who can also run through everybody. And Brandon Ayuk, he's had a real come out season this year. Um, so I feel like seeing those two offenses at full strength would be the most fun to watch. My only thing with the Niners right now, Debo's banged up, his shoulders jacked up, and I mean he's practicing. He'll probably play, but he could get hurt and not play again. So if we're not looking at the Niners at full strength, I would rather see the Lions play Detroit because at least the Lions, I mean, you got the two-headed monster in the backfield, David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs. Jared Goff isn't afraid to let it air out. So I feel like just seeing like a nice like a nice matchup between offenses. That's what I want to see in the Super Bowl. So if everybody's healthy, I say Niners and Ravens. If not, Niners and Lions.
I love to throw a sidebar and for this week's matchup. So Stephen A said if Debo doesn't play, then the 49ers don't get it done. What do you subscribe to that?
I wouldn't say that. No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it like that. The Niners they still have great talent. Their defense, I mean, their defense has not really played as great as they can, but you can't knock their defense. Their defense is still solid. Like they're not going to let Detroit just have an easy game, you know. And I think now if you lost Debo and you lost Christian McCaffrey,
Yeah, for sure.
then that offense
It's
becomes too
something
one
totally different.
dimensional. But if you have Christian McCaffrey, you have George freaking Kittle, and you have Brandon Ayuk. I think that's enough to win the game.
See, if Debo doesn't play, instead of relying on George Kittle to get one or two ridiculously great plays, you're gonna have to rely on him to do three or four. Where I do see there's gonna be problems in there because he averages that one or two plays, and he's just so exciting when he does those one or two plays. But as far as him being a super target like a Travis Kelce, that's not what he is. But you increase those big magical plays up to like 4 or 5 plays. I think they'll have troubles doing that if Debo doesn't play. But to say that I didn't subscribe to it. They don't win if the Debo doesn't play. Now, if Debo does play, exponentially higher.
It's
So
I about to say if Debo's playing, it's a ball game. Or no, if he's playing, then the Niners should win. If he's not playing, it should be a really good ball game, like real
there we
competitive.
go. For sure.
So
Just a little sidebar. All
yeah,
right, moving into topic number 3. Win, lose, or draw. How do we feel about the Lions season and then moving forward, especially with Jared Goff?
I mean, you got to feel great if you're the Lions franchise, regardless of how Sunday turns out. Um, I mean, if you lose and that's the end of your season, listen, the city of Detroit's happy and proud. Really, the whole country is proud of the Detroit Lions. And I think
2 playoff wins.
you've solidified yourself as a serious team and a team that's worth paying attention to. You've established that. You've established that your coach isn't just a goofy, aggressive dude. No, your coach is a good coach. Jared Goff can play and actually play at an elite level. Um, you've shown that you have young talent on your team. So where you may not be able to afford big, expensive free agents, you got young rookies who next year will be in year 2, more experienced, more seasoned, and they're already great. So I think the future is bright for the Lions, regardless of how Sunday turns. Now, if they end up winning, if they
Yeah.
go on the road and
What?
beat the Niners, oh
Jared
my
Goff's gonna get a
god,
statue.
dude, I'm gonna think about moving to Detroit. Like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that is
Like
crazy.
Detroit's gonna be the place to be, and you know, I think yeah, if that happens, then whew, it's a Cinderella story. Um, but yeah, either way, they should be happy. Everybody should be happy with them.
See, I think I just and I've enjoyed everything that had Detroit's brought ever since they beat the Broncos, which I didn't want that to go because that was our ticket into the playoffs and to Russ potentially being our quarterback. But anyways, season's way over for the Broncos. Uh, I just want you haven't heard people say like, damn, we don't want to see the Lions win. We don't want to see the Lions do it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anybody be like, the Lions still suck or they sucked for the past 100 years. You see people are like, can the Lions do it? Like are the Lions? Like Detroit? Like Michigan? Lake Michigan? Like Detroit? What up though? Like, no, I'm serious because I haven't lived in this era, so you got to feel really good about Jared Goff coming back. And one thing I like about their offense is he lets it fly. It reminds me of damn near Texas Tech. Like, we're gonna let that ball go. He's gonna get the first down. We're gonna go for it on fourth. Like, they just let the ball fly. I don't pay attention too much to their run game, but I'm sure it's solid enough.
Yeah,
They let the ball fly. Like they trust their quarterback to get a first down. And if he needs 3 plays to do it, they're gonna let him do it for 3 straight plays. And I enjoy the way that their offense plays. I do like how young their defense is. They got that the big white boy, the D lineman. Is he a first year or second year
uh,
player?
second year, Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah, it's his
Yeah,
second year.
he be he be straight up in your chest, bull rush. But I just I like the Detroit Lions. I think that they should feel very confident going into next year. You exceeded expectations. I mean, your coach is wild, and he's like, "Well, shit. The worst we could be is everything we've been for the past 100 years, so we might as well." And I respect that. Now, just to put a little more context on this weekend's game, that one might come back to bite him. But the coolest part about the Detroit Lions, let's say he goes for it a couple times on fourth down and doesn't work against this elite of a team. I think everybody goes home thinking like, you know what, we ride behind him because look how far he did get us. Like, you can't be mad at a man for having faith in every single player on the field. You can't ask for no more than a coach. Like, if nothing else, I'm gonna rock with these guys. Yeah, we have a good kicker. I'm gonna rock with these guys. I'm gonna rock with they're out there for a reason. They're making that money for a reason. So shouts out to Detroit, man. That's that. I think it's beautiful to see. Never thought I'd see it,
I was about to say this is the first time in our lifetime I feel like they've been. I feel like they've had one
bro.
other season where they were good, but like this is the best we've
They
probably
had
seen them.
Megatron and Matthew
Yeah,
Stafford. Like they had years, and then I don't even think it ever really got close to the playoffs though.
I think
And
they've
then
lost in the wild card.
for him to leave, go win the Super Bowl, and now that same quarterback who came over here, I want them to make a Super Bowl appearance. I don't think they win the Super Bowl if they make it, but we'll get there when we get there, if we get there. All right, all right. And our last topic of the night,
All right,
conspiracy time.
our last topic, getting into the conspiracy theory that everybody's talking about. We're talking about the Super Bowl conspiracy theory revolving around the Super Bowl logo. So people brought it to the attention that the last two seasons, the colors in the Super Bowl logo have indicated which teams end up making it to the Super Bowl. And for context, these logos are announced many months before the Super Bowl, not just like the week of. It's many months in advance. So going back 2 years, the logo was orange and yellow. Who was the Super Bowl? Bengals, Rams. Last year, it was red and green. Who was in the Super Bowl? Chiefs, Eagles. This year, it is purple and red. Now, just looking at what teams we have left, that's screaming Ravens, 49ers. That's what is screaming. Um, and so, and if that ends up happening, then that means this conspiracy is it's kind of on point. The NFL script is hidden. But it leads us into talking about next season because they've announced what the logo is for next season, and the colors for next season are purple and green. Kind of a weird color combination, if you ask me. But purple and
To just
green,
throw out there too.
yeah, it's super weird. But anyway, purple and green are the colors. So I think they showed the list of teams that are eligible. So the purple teams are the Vikings and the Ravens, and then the green teams are the Eagles, the Packers, um, the Seahawks. I think there was another green team that was on there. So I guess I don't know if let's say the conspiracy theory is true. What do you think next year's Super Bowl is going to be?
So for yeah, I'll ask that first. So for next year's Super Bowl, I'm feeling that Seahawks for some reason. I was looking at like a Seahawks, mysterious Seahawks, and I do believe if we have a Ravens this year, then we'll have a Ravens next year because maybe, and it's a brutal sport. Maybe Lamar has figured out a regimen for his prime to stay healthy and stay consistent for the prime of his career. I believe he's only what 26, 27.
26.
So let's give him till 32, and maybe this is the peak of his. Damn, we're the same age as this man. Crazy. But if this is his peak, I think that they might have figured it out. They have a good regimen and everything. So conspiracy wise, I think a back to back is in his future. Back to back MVP season next year. He takes a step back from MVP and focuses on managing to get to the playoffs. Gets through the playoffs, stay a good seed. Turns it up in the playoffs. I think they're really starting to figure out what's the best for his health. So conspiracy wise, I think the Ravens makes the most sense. Is there anybody in the AFC? Anybody else in the
Oh,
AFC?
the Jets. I forgot the Jets.
No, no, no,
No, not
no.
with
We're not doing that.
not with a healthy Aaron Rodgers back.
No.
You couldn't
47,
you couldn't see
48 and
a
a half, Lavelle.
you couldn't see a New York Jets.
56 years old.
No. Hear this. A New York Jets Minnesota Vikings Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers versus Kirk Cousins. You would have subscribed to
I like Kirk Cousins.
that?
I like Kirk Cousins more than I like Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl next year. But hey, money talks.
That would have to be the matchup. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with you on the Ravens coming back next year. I can see it. 2 years, 2 years, two Super Bowl appearances. I can see it. Especially if they keep everybody together from this year. It's like, why not? Um, but really, the team that scares me, and what the team that would scare me if I was in the NFC and I was like a player or coach in the NFC, I would be scared of the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah,
I would be scared of the Green Bay Packers because all we saw them do was emerge. They hit the playoffs, and that young offense took off. They took off. We saw it against the Cowboys. They put up a hell of a fight against the Niners, and Jordan Love is looking like a pretty good quarterback. That's what he was looking like. That's
for
what the
sure.
tape shows. So if that team, another year of experience, they already made it to the divisional round. Who's to say they couldn't make a Super Bowl run next year? So if we're sticking with the conspiracy, I could see a Ravens Packers Super Bowl, um, which would be very
Sounds and look
interesting.
good.
I don't know. Aaron Rodgers will be pissed. Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers
that'll be
will
real.
be pissed.
But I mean, he's done it all. He got his one ring. Now, I would like to add context to the conspiracy. Now, if anybody listening remembers a time period where um they did 2016 to 2026, and it actually said that this year was supposed to be the Bills, and it said last year the Chiefs were supposed to. It said last year the Eagles were supposed to win. It had every single year correct until last year. It said that the Eagles were supposed to win the Super Bowl last year. It said this year the Bills were supposed to win. And then it said next year, I don't remember the rest of them, but it was a tweet from 2016. And it predicted the Broncos winning the Super Bowl, and it got every Super Bowl prediction correct up until last year where it got it wrong. But everybody thought it was right because the Eagles ended up going to the Super Bowl, but they lost. So is this like a trick in the hat? Like, does the NFL always have us played? Are they always one step ahead of us? Is social media playing everybody for what it is? Because we got, not to get too conspiracy, but we got sports betting going on. We have these billionaires who control these franchises. And not only the NFL is an organization. So the people who create these tags and everything like that, they could be following whatever agenda that their bosses throw out there. I haven't heard anybody say, oh, it's based off of the city, or it's based off of this color, or it's based off of the American flag or whatever it may be. I'm just saying that we have heard a conspiracy like this, and it could be a hat trick. It could be, well, why do you think we released this conspiracy this year? Why do you think that is just now hitting the public? Because I do remember that picture last year, and I was like, I can't believe the Eagles are going to win. The Eagles really made it to the Super Bowl. He got the last 6 years right. The Bills are going to go to the Super Bowl next year. The Bills are a good team who could literally just go to the Super Bowl next year. I think Von Miller had he was on a podcast and he said it. He was like, "Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl next year. It's scripted." Now they didn't end up going,
Yeah.
but that was the running joke, is that how it's kind of scripted, but it's not. So I mean, it raises some flags. It's like, I don't know, but I don't be surprised if we run into a hat trick this weekend, and that's why I did pick the Lions.
Okay, I mean, hey, if that with that conspiracy, I'm down with that one. If you said it's gonna have the Broncos winning next year, hey, I'm down for that one. But hey,
It was
I'm here.
that
I'm
Broncos
here
one.
for
It
it.
didn't have them in that 10 years. They had them at the very first one. It was a tweet from 2015 for 2016 to 2026, and they got every single one right. And people
Mm,
kept posting, and it was the old version of Twitter. It was a screenshot from Twitter from 30 versions ago.
mhm.
And little behold, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, but they didn't win. So maybe they release pictures like that to, push people one way, flip it back on their heads for the other
Okay.
way.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, especially with sports betting taking off the way it has, if you can do something to kind of, put the odds in your favor. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're the organization, well, why not? So, well, not why
Even if
not,
you're
but
not rigging the game, but you're giving everybody an extra variable to think about.
right.
So,
It's a
because
it's a
everybody's
mind
gonna
game.
feel really silly. You're either gonna feel really smart this weekend, or you're gonna feel really silly, where it's like, oh, I put money on them because of a marketing campaign for the Super Bowl, not for the teams in the Super Bowl. Or you're gonna feel really dumb, I mean, really smart, and be like, oh man, I knew that they just had it like that. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, all I know is if it ends up being a Ravens 49ers Super Bowl, the logo thing is right, man. The logo thing has to be right.
It's
That's
crazy.
it's scripted. It's scripted.
It could be. It raises flags, but we'll definitely drop those pictures of our conspiracies inside our TikTok and also on the YouTube. But with that being said, I know we've been very intensive heavy on the NFL. This is the most exciting part. We actually are former football players, so we're gonna take that a little bit more serious. Don't worry, we're gonna get into the Warriors, Anthony Edwards going crazy. We're gonna go into all the NBA news after the football season. So let's go ahead and stay tuned with us, guys. And I think we're about done here, huh, Lavelle?
Yeah, that's the last
El
topic for the
Boogie.
night. That's the that's the last topic for the night. So yeah, hey, appreciate y'all tuning in, watching the podcast again. Catch us here next week. Add us on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok. We go on live streams, watching the games, playing some Call of Duty. So tune into that too.
All righty. We appreciate y'all for listening. Peace.